In the name of Allah, peace and blessings be upon the Messenger of Allah. This article, God willing, will be dedicated to what is known as spiritual diseases. We aim to discuss this topic in depth, as there are many mysterious issues related to diseases that modern medicine is unable to diagnose. We hope that this presentation will be useful and beneficial to the listeners, and God bless you.
When you hear a Muslim genie say that he is possessed by the body of a Muslim woman, this is actually a forbidden act. Possession means penetrating her body, looking at her nakedness, and controlling some of her bodily functions, all of which is not permissible in Islam. The possession that often occurs is due to witchcraft, and witchcraft is forbidden in Islam. Thank you for your question, and I would like to clarify something important. We, thank God, are not possessed by this woman or any other woman. Another thing that confuses people is what is known as energy, or what they call this, which are terms that we do not support because they carry distorted and inaccurate meanings. It is true that God created some human beings with sensory abilities and sensing parallel dimensions. This does not mean that they are possessed or controlled by jinn. Right now, I am talking to you, and I am in Mecca, specifically on Mount Arafat. As a Muslim jinn, I am now in a court known as the Court of Jinns and Humans. I swear by Allah, who created the heavens and the earth, that I am not in this woman's body, but I am speaking to you from outside the body through the energy of the tongue. A Muslim jinn does not possess the body, nor does it enter it unless it is a demon or an unjust jinn. And these are completely different from Muslim jinn who are committed to God's law. Many people misunderstand, thinking that anyone who has sensory abilities or senses parallel dimensions is possessed or bewitched, and they send them to psychiatrists, thinking that what they are suffering from is a mental illness, when sometimes I, for example, have the ability to speak to you like someone with a microphone, speaking from afar and not needing to be possessed. We speak to help, not to harm. In the past, we were silent and did not intervene, but over time, we found that there is a need to deliver messages and clarify things, especially with the many slanders that are said about Muslim jinn, as if they are demonic beings that inhabit hum. The truth is that Muslim jinn do not possess humans, and it is not permissible for them to do so. Some people think that a Muslim jinn possesses a body out of necessity, such as revenge or love, which is a big mistake. Yes, and God testifies to what I say. I don't ask anyone to believe me, because people are free to believe me or not. I only ask that you listen with an open mind and an open heart. If you want to believe, you can. And if you don't, that's up to you. God guides whomever he wills to the truth. Guidance is in the hands of God alone. Whoever sincerely seeks guidance, the door will be open to him. And whoever closes the door of guidance to himself, we have nothing for him. As Muslim jinn, we are subjected to many slanders. Some people say that Muslim jinn are possessed by humans, which is wrong and distorts the image of Muslim jinn. We do not possess the bodies of Muslim women, nor do we possess any human beings, as this is against God's law. Some demons or abusive jinn may do this, but this is not attributed to Muslim jinn who are committed to their religion.
May Allah reward you for this clarification. We, as humans, know that you are creatures like us. We see you, but not you. But God told us of your existence and dedicated a chapter in the Quran to you called Surat al-Jinn. As Muslims, we believe in your existence and know that you are subject to God's commands, just like us. As for me, I know that God sees me and watches me, and that is enough for me.
Yes, and God testifies to what I say. I don't ask anyone to believe me, because people are free to believe me or not. I only ask that you listen with an open mind and an open heart. If you want to believe, you can, and if you don't, that's up to you. God guides whomever he wills to the truth. Guidance is in the hands of God alone. Whoever sincerely seeks guidance, the door will be open to him. And whoever closes the door of guidance to himself, we have nothing for him. We, as Muslim jinn, are subjected to many slanders. Some people say that Muslim jinn are possessed by humans, which is wrong and distorts the image of Muslim jinn. We do not possess the bodies of Muslim women, nor do we possess any human beings, as this is against God's law. Some demons or abusive jinn may do this, but this is not attributed to Muslim jinn who are committed to their religion. If a Muslim jinn sees a Muslim woman suffering, he does not harm her, but helps her if he can. As for the lover jinn, who are said to adore women and possess their bodies, this is not a Muslim jinn, but a devil and an aggressor. Satan seeks to corrupt the earth and distort the image of the Muslim jinn, so that people think that all jinn are the same. The truth is that a Muslim jinn does not harm anyone, nor does it possess anyone.
Yes, that's clear. Jazakallah for this explanation and clarification. What we want to convey to people through this article is a clear and useful message. There are patients who suffer in silence, and some believe that the only solution is psychiatrists, while the issue may be deeper than that. Our goal is to shed light on this aspect and help those who need to understand it.
Yes, you are right. We are at your service in this dialogue, and we ask God to make this material useful for all who listen to it. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, this is not an ordinary message, but rather a clarification of what confuses people. The message we want to convey is that Allah guides whomever He wills and enlightens His vision. The servant should turn to Allah in his prayers and call upon Him sincerely, and Allah will give him a light to guide him. As for what you mentioned about this woman, she is a sick woman, and I didn't come to her of my own accord. This woman has been suffering for a long time, and I was not the cause of her illness. There are soldiers of God, and only He knows the soldiers of your Lord. And these soldiers may be used by God to help some human beings. Not everyone who has the ability to help can claim to be a soldier of God. This is something that God alone determines, and no one has the right to do so. Some people, especially some seers, think that the soldiers who help people are God's soldiers and unknowingly give them this title. This is wrong, because God's soldiers are only those whom God harnesses by His command, and no human being or genie can claim this title now.
It is true that we, as humans, read in the Quran how God gave us horses, mules, and donkeys, how He gave us ships that run on the sea, and all these creatures were given to us to use in our lives.
Completed, yes. God is the one who owns the harnessing, the one who makes His creatures serve each other. But let me explain something to you. There is a misunderstanding among people about energy and people who are said to be Azori. Some people are born with special sensory abilities and are said to be Zori or energetic. Some people are born with special sensory abilities and they are said to be Azori or Zorayan. We don't call them that. We say that God has given them special wisdom and insight. Unfortunately, there are those who use these names and terms for bad purposes. In fact, there are those who misuse these energies, harnessing them to serve sorcerers or demons. In addition, there are demons working in the shadows, especially demons that seek to control Muslim women and human hearts in general. Some call this human energy or power energy, which is an inaccurate concept. The energy that God has given to humans is not energy to be controlled at will. Some people think that humans can create devices that control the world, which is wrong. Humans don't create anything out of thin air. Take the example of cell phones. They are complex devices, but who gave them the ability to develop them? God is the one who gave them reason, science, and knowledge. And He is the one who created the resources they use to manufacture these devices. Everything on earth and in the universe belongs to God. Some people think that man is the silent creator of these inventions, but this is wrong because creation belongs to God alone. Humans create, yes, but they do not create. Everything originates from God. Some say that these abilities are specific to a certain class of people, such as syphilis. But I say that God may give wisdom to whomever he wishes. Wisdom is not restricted to a certain category of people. If you have wisdom, it is by the grace of God, and it is not given to anyone except by God's command. But let me tell you, there is a lot of satanic interference in this area. Satan always seeks to ruin the lives of people, especially Muslim women, through whispering and sedition. In some cases, Satan may be the reason behind what happens with some people, especially in cases of witchcraft and obsession. What I want to make clear is that as a Muslim jinn, I do not approach the body of a Muslim woman, nor do I ever possess her. There are demons who do this, but they are not us. Some people think that a Muslim jinn possesses the bodies of Muslim women for certain purposes, such as love or adoration, but this is not true. A Muslim jinn would never do that. Muslim jinn are used by God to help humans, not to harm them. Some healers who claim to be fighting the jinn are, in fact, doing nothing but serving demons, and they themselves don't even know it. How does this happen? I'll explain. The demons have been planning for centuries to control humans, especially since the 16th century. Their plan was to divide the Muslim nation into sects and factions, and then they started spreading false ideas and beliefs, such as adhering to charlatans who are falsely known as guardians of God. False. These charlatans misled people, and people started making offerings and sacrifices to shrines, believing that they would heal them. This is where Satan began to control people's minds, and instead of turning to God, people began to turn to the shrines of the so-called saints. Exactly. This is an act of polytheism, because only Allah is a healer. Notice how things developed. People began to believe that Muslim jinn could heal people, and strange rituals began to appear, such as sacrificing sheep to shrines. Then came what is known as international colonization, where Islamic countries were divided into states, and each state was placed under a ruler, and some rulers were recruited to serve satanic schemes, such as imposing suspicious vaccinations and vaccines that contain things that harm people. I want to conclude with this. Satan and his minions are always seeking to corrupt people. They have been planning for many years and strategizing very carefully. Unfortunately, some people fall into these traps without realizing it. The first thing Satan did was to control the scholars and make them issue fatwas that have no basis in the Qur'an or Sunnah. They started by prohibiting what was not prohibited and analyzing what was not analyzed, until the truth was lost and mixed with falsehood. Then they came to the common people and made them worship shrines and graves, and people began to believe that healing comes from the guardians of God, not from God himself. All these schemes aim to keep people away from worshiping God and to keep them busy with endless obsessions. I say to everyone who hears me now, both jinn and human beings, beware of these temptations. You may not take the words of any sheikh or sheikh without evidence from the Quran and Sunnah. I ask Allah to protect Muslims from all evil and guide them to his righteous path.
Yes, may Allah reward you for your kind words.